Hello, we're still reading from Afro Pessimism. Excellent book. My shirts are getting too big. Trying to, well, not even trying to, but just losing weight because the eating is changing. Coming to you from an undisclosed location. Let's see if I can get a little more light. All right. I worked as a guard at the Walker Arts Center overlooking downtown Minneapolis, and I licked my wounds from the Calhoun Beach Club and 8 ethically bankrupt years as a stockbroker. The first Intifada had just begun in Palestine, and I had a dear friend from Ramallah who was also a guard at the museum. His name was Samir Bashara. He was a photographer who studied at Minneapolis Institute of Art. We shared the same politics, revolutionary and star sign Aries, two people who were often wrong but never in doubt. If we were in an airplane, Samir once told me, and we crashed in the desert and a survivor's detail was formed, some people would be tasked with finding water. It would be the job of others to forage for food and firewood, and we would need a team to build a shelter from what could be salvaged from the crash. But you, Frank, you would be the one sitting back giving us orders. I didn't spoil the satisfaction he got from the dig by telling him he had mapped onto me traits that were just as applicable to him. Most of the guards were either artists or writers or students, but only Samir shared my politics of insurrection. We bonded early and kept our distance from the others. I told him of my college dreams of going to Zimbabwe and fighting for the Zanu Zapu, or to New York to join Assata Shakur and the Black Liberation Army. Samir longed to return to Ramallah in order to make what he thought would be a more meaningful contribution to the Intifada than the talks he gave to moist-eyed Minnesota liberals. He was 25, I was 31, and in 5 years I would be the same age as Frantz Fanon was when he died in the custody of the Central Intelligence Agency. By the time Fanon died in 1961, he had fled Martinique, his native land, joined de Gaulle's army, and had been wounded fighting the Nazis. He had also completed his internship in psychiatry and medicine, joined the FLN in the Algerian Revolution, and penned 4 books on revolution and psychoanalysis. I had 5 years to catch him, a bar set high by my shame demon. Hubris at low places was where I lived. Much the same was true for Samir. What a waste, he told me, photographing Scandinavians in looms when he felt he should be back home making bombs. We had different shoulders, but they bore the same chip. I was convinced of this one morning when he came to work smiling, despite the fact that his right eye was slightly bulbous and closed. Last night, he informed me, a friend of mine from Palestine and I met these 2 gorgeous women. White, of course, he added under his breath, and I didn't bother to question the of course because I wasn't sure that he wasn't wrong. Means beauty goes without saying is the message one is fed all of one's life. The protest to the contrary is like saying it's not about money after you've been shortchanged. Samir said that he and his friend could have taken him home if 3 rich Kuwaitis had sauntered into the lounge. One of the Kuwaitis made a move on the woman Samir was talking to. Samir told him in a kind way to go back to his booth. The man scoffed. You don't even have your own country. But he went back. As the night wore on, the Kuwaitis sent champagne to Samir's table. Then all 3 of them approached. They offered to take the women to an exclusive after party at a penthouse suite in the suburb of Adina. Just you 2, the Kuwaiti Samir had spent packing said, not these stateless ones. Since Kuwaiti's number 3 and Samir and his friend number 2, the Kuwaitis accepted Samir's offer to discuss the details of the after party in the parking lot. The teeth of the time clock pierced Samir's time card. I followed suit as he donned the blue museum blazer that we all wore. We walked together to the main gallery. As I continued walking to take up my position on the mezzanine level, he smiled and whispered, "We beat those Kuwaitis until we were tired." It wasn't as much bucked horns locked over the pride of possessions of two forbidden females that sparked the dust up in the parking lot, though that was surely part of it. What seared the flesh of his skin the most was the Kuwaiti's ridicule of Samir's statelessness. I thought I had the same loss too, because I thought my suffering was analogous to his. I was not an Afro-pessimist then. I would have beaten them too, I said. A high grassy knoll abutted the building that housed the Walker Art Center. The knoll is gone now, scalped clean as a root canal to make room for a restaurant. But when it was still a hill, Samir and I would take our lunch there. In springtime, when the cold broke and the sky cleared, the hilltop commanded a sweeping view of white swans tracing Loring Park Lake. Distant cars and downtown streets sparkled like sequins in the sun. And from that knoll you could see the Basilica of St. Mary's copper dome corroded by melted snow and driving rain to a blue-green brilliance that made me think ruin was the only true object of love. The knoll was also a vantage point from which death in the making would be seen. Just below it was the bottleneck, an insurrection where three streets converged into one, a place where some of the most horrifying collisions occurred. As a tween reading my spy novels, I used to imagine the bottleneck as a stretch of the German Autobahn, where John Le Carre's ill-fated spy, Alec Lemon, saw two young children waving cheerfully from the window of a small car, and the next moment saw it smash between two large lorries. That hill was where Samir told me about his cousin who was killed in Ramallah, blown up while making a bomb. But he wasn't a suicide bomber. It was an accident. Samir blamed himself the way the survivors often do, no matter how near or far in space and time they are from their dead. He survived by being here and not there. That's it. Oppressed people getting together, forming friendships. I'm not sure if these friendships form anymore. No one wants to be around us anymore, it seems. Although, I do have to admit, I have gotten in conversations with people from other ethnic groups, but it's usually maybe I'm in their store, in their cigar shop, and we talk. An Indian engineer once, we went to a smoke shop, and we were talking about how he was an engineer and how he came to this country and how he studied. And I just, so it's conversations like that, conversations I get into on the train every now and then, but nobody really wants to talk to black men anymore or black people. It's sad. It's sad because we have a lot to offer. But what are you going to do? Until next time, take care of yourselves and try to stay safe and try to stay sane.